Hi, my name's Billy, I read books and I've read Children of Ruin by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is book 2 in his Children of Time series. It was written in 2020, it's about 560 pages long and I gave it 4 stars. I like this book, let me tell you why. One of the reasons I like this book is because I didn't read the blurb on the back. I always go into my books blind, and I think if I'd have read the blurb, because I've read it now since I finished the book, I think this would have given away quite a bit of the story that I just had and just allowed to wash over me because I wasn't aware of what it was going to be about. I feel that if I had have read that, a lot of the surprises that came along to me I'd have already known about and wouldn't have been as impactful. So my recommendation to you is don't read the blurb, just go into it blind. Now, if you're going to be reading this book, I'm guessing you may have already read book 1, which was Children of Time. I've done a review of that, I'll link it down below. Now, I referred to some creatures in that book as the stuff of nightmares. Now, there's creatures in this book as well, and to try and keep it as spoiler free as I can, in case you don't know what these creatures are, I will just refer to them as the devils in the deep blue sea. This might get complicated to remember this, but let's see how it goes. The story begins a generation after the end of book 1, Children of Time. And by this point, humanity and the stuff of nightmares are getting on famously. They're able to communicate with each other, which gets explained in the book, and they detect a faint signal out into space, and they decide to work together to go off into space together to go and see if they can find distant cousins from old Earth. You also get a storyline which is in the past, the deep and distant past, where humanity, a little bit like book 1, are at different planets, and there's 2 planets this time, and they're trying to again colonize and terraform them. And one of the people on the ship has an interest in a certain type of creature, which is the devil in the deep blue sea. And as you can no doubt guess, because this is Adrian Tchaikovsky, similar to book 1, the devil in the deep blue sea play a big part in this story. Now, to me, the creatures in book 1 were far more interesting and engaging than what's in this book. And in fact, the devil in the deep blue sea in this book, I didn't actually find all that interesting, which is a shame. And if this was just a case of a rehash of book 1, where humans are colonizing a planet and there's some creatures and you get points of view from them and things go along, it would just be a rehash, and it would have been pretty lame, really, pretty tame. And for the first quarter of the book, maybe more than that, that's where I thought this was going. But thankfully it doesn't, because it adds a different twist to it. Now, this twist does add a little bit of a horror element to the story. It throws something else into the mix, and that saved the book, really, in my opinion, from being what I was thinking was just going to be maybe a 3-star read, which elevates it up to 4 stars. And the main plot, the main theme of this book for me was communication. I've already mentioned that humans and the stuff of nightmares can now communicate. So you've got the understanding of how they speak to each other. You've then got the devils in the deep blue sea as well. And humanity may be trying to communicate with them, with the stuff of nightmares. But then there's a 4th thing, this twist I talk about. There's communication with that as well. Now, imagine trying, as a human, trying to communicate with a different species, which you've already accomplished, which is something amazing, being the stuff of nightmares. You're then desperately trying to communicate with the devil in the deep blue sea. Now, add into that time pressures, imminent death, destruction, horror elements, and that adds a lot of different dynamics to the story. And then add in, once you're trying to communicate there, trying to communicate with the fourth element that I've just spoke about as there, the twist. And it is interesting in terms of how this gets done. It's interesting. It is enjoyable, but not as enjoyable to me as book 1. I gave Children of Time 4.5 out of 5. I'm giving this one 4 out of 5. And it was partly the reason that, because I was thinking this is a 4 now, I couldn't give Children of Time a 4 as well, because Children of Time is a better book, in my opinion, than this, which is what bumped that up to 4.5. Now, I would definitely recommend you read this. If you read Children of Time and you enjoyed it, definitely give this a go. Like I say, it feels almost at the beginning like a bit of a rehash of book 1, but with different creatures. But it's not. Stick with it because it changes and it twists a bit. And that twist is really good, because I didn't see it coming, but I would have seen it coming if I'd have read the back of the book, and that would have given it away and spoiled my enjoyment. So the period of time again with this is ginormous. So when I mentioned about you have the present and you have the distant past, the amount of time we're talking about in the distant past is where you have humanity as creators, and then the amount of time that goes by, humanity is thought of, or those humans who were doing the creating are then thought of as like divinities or demons, whichever your perception may be. We're talking about that amount of time. So again, it's a massive sprawling story, spans an awful lot of time, lots of different communications going on, some horror elements thrown into the mix as well, and all in all, a very well written story, which means I will be moving on to book 3 in due course. Children of Memory, I believe it's called. Looking forward to reading it. Let me know if you've read it. Is it any good? Let me know what you think about this book, what your thoughts were. Did you like it more than book 1? And I will see you down in the comments. So like and subscribe. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye.